Yeah,
Like you were, you had a marketing company and you would go out, even like you worked with kids on campaigns. That was,
yes,
oh my
yeah,
gosh, was it for
yeah.
just that you were
Well,
doing?
I did. We had a local authority, and they wanted us to run a campaign to encourage people to drink less alcohol, that is, not water. And I said, I want to with primary age children. So I went into this primary class and I said, I want you to you run a campaign to get, your older people to drink less. And and they just got straight down to posters straight away. And there was one that's had a disappointed looking child, and it said, when you drink, it means broken promises, right? And when the parents saw that, you could see them all going, oh, yes. They all recognized that day when they said, you were going to the zoo on Saturday. You say that to a child, and they can't think of anything else for the week. And then on a Saturday morning, you say, sorry, I've got a hangover, darling. We'll do it some other time. To a kid, that's huge. To a parent, that's a small thing. Another one was broken glass in the playground. Another little boy said, it means my dad singing Ave Maria at the top of his voice on the landing at night when I'm trying to sleep.
Wow.
It's just extraordinary. And their slogan was do more, drink less. In other words, take up other things that you can do. Take up a
Mhm.
sport, take up an interest, but just drink less. And the impacts on parents was quite profound, the ones that were there. And when you saw kids, we got them to do a play as well about drinking. And when you saw the kids that were playing drunk, it was really funny because they were really exaggerated, falling about, spilling things off the tray, and that's how they see people who are drunk, you know.
Mhm.
And for the parents, it was a really powerful moment. But yeah, they're great kids. They're great copywriters. They draw as well, and they manage to get the emotion in the pictures. Extraordinary. You think, you know, and the teachers would say, "Wow, how did you manage to get that out of them?" I said, "I just asked them." I mean,
Gave them some
force
agency,
it for them.
you know?
Yeah, they understood the brief. They understood about drink. They understood about nutrition. They understood all these things. But there's no point in saying that to a child if they go home and they've been fed things that aren't on the nutrition table at school. So you have to educate the whole family. It has to be a community thing. So they would say, ah, yeah, yeah, vegetables are really good for you. 5 pieces of fruit a day. And you say, good. So do you follow that? And they say, no, because my mum doesn't buy those things. You think, well,
A lot of times parents forget that they are setting an example for their children, and whatever they do, their children are going to do. If they
absolutely.
drink, their children are going to drink, and if they don't eat healthy, their children are going to do the same thing. And that's what they forget sometimes, and
Yeah.
they need to be reminded to make better choices
Well,
so their children will make better choices, right? So,
there's
yeah.
one little girl said, it makes it makes people want to kill themselves.
Whoa.
And I said, oh, that's quite serious. She says, yeah, my mum, I found her hanging from the ceiling above her bed one morning, and I managed to get the rope off and pull her down. And when she came round, she says, oh, sorry, I just drank too much. So here was a child thinking that every time the mother drank, she had to keep checking on her to make sure she wasn't trying to kill herself.
Yeah, adultified child. There we go. Here we go again. Yeah.
That's the impact on the child. It doesn't need to make any more sense of it than that, because the mother said, sorry, darling, I'd been drinking too much. Not that I was depressed, you know.
Yeah.
So you learn so much from young children. They tell you everything. If only children knew what the children were telling their teachers, and and the adults at school, honestly. Because I'll tell
I
you,
touch I touch on this a little bit in my book too,
yes,
and
I know you
I
do.
remember, yeah, I
Yeah,
remember sometimes I would just want to go to bed really early because I knew my dad was going to be home drunk, and then he was gonna, yeah, it was not never a good experience seeing him being drunk, and it was, and then for that girl too, like it's living in that kind of anxiety that, oh no, what's going to happen as a child. It has an impact all, like even sometimes these days I'm like, okay, if someone's too drunk around me, I feel like, okay, they're gonna come at me or something. So yeah,
yeah,
it's not a good experience for children, especially because it really sticks with them all their
terrible,
life.
terrible. And the children
Yeah.
have got a very heightened sense of smell, so they smell the alcohol as well, and so that the smell of alcohol can bring a sort of fright or flight thing to them because
Mm.
that's the smell they associate with it. And we know all these things. Well, we know all these things, but we should be talking about this. You know, if you care about your children, make sure that you are demonstrating to them the life that you want them to lead, not the life that you lead, because boys will follow fathers, girls will follow mothers. It's been for centuries the same, for centuries, and the fear of getting a hammering because your father's coming home at night drunk. Of course, you go to bed early and you try and pull the blankets over your head and pretend you're asleep.
Yeah.
It's awful what we do to children. And then, we keep recycling the same thing again and again. And it's just like a circuit breaker you need to say, stop it. You know, wake up tomorrow and just think. Not what you experienced as a child, because you've got to get over that now. You've got to say, what would I like to have experienced as a child? You want to feel safe. You want to feel you can go out and take risks. You want to feel you can make mistakes, all those things. And if you grow up with fear of making mistakes, you'll never progress properly because you'll never take any risks.
Um,
It's true, isn't it?
yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Hmm. So we should write something about education.
No,
I feel like this is part of education because a
Yeah,
child going to school feeling this way the night before, it's doesn't help, right? Like, and then the teachers are get coming at you, and
yeah.
it's just all adults in your life are trying to just put that pressure on you when you just want to be a kid. And like, I think I would have loved to learn and like be really good at school, or like I would have even gotten better grades if the family environment or even the school environment would have been slightly more peaceful. So yeah, it's all part of it. You would think it's home life and school life. They're not separate.
yeah,
They come together for the
yeah,
child. It's the same thing. They don't
yeah.
understand. So
Stability and consistency are important. And then all the excitement can be built from that. But you
mhm.
need that consistency. If your father is all over you one day, hello, darling, you're just looking so beautiful. And they've got drinks, they're smelling of drink, and the next night they're tetchy and irritable. It happens with mothers as well. But when I went into those schools, the kids all wanted to crowd round me because I was a man. So they see very few men. Some of them have got no men in the house, and the only thing they hear about men is from the mother, who's often resentful of the husband. And I was standing like this. It was really quite frightening because they really were crowding round me and wanted to grab me.
Oh,
Um, because I talked to them nicely. I'd
you
given them
created a
something exciting to do.
you created a safe space for them. That's
Yeah,
what you did. Yeah.
that's all you need. Yeah.